Hey, it's the Worth Playboy.
And my Playboys Bunny.
Welcome to our podcast where we discuss pickup, game, relationships, and
Sex.
today's topic is she'd rather be alone than bored.
It's true.
The number one sin in game is to be boring.
Yeah.
You cannot or shall not be boring.
Thou shalt not be boring.
Because as soon as that happens, it's game
She's
over.
out. She's out.
And it's very hard to recover. Because here's the deal. Most girls are bored. And unfortunately, most girls are boring.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to be carrying the ball. And during this ball carrying, you have to decide whether she's simply bored or congenitally boring, or if she has some potential to be interesting.
Right.
You know? But the bottom line is, girls' default is to be bored, and they are bored. The vast majority are boring. And that's why most guys feel like they're like dragging cement blocks across the ground when they're trying to get a conversation going.
Yeah.
Is over time you have to learn how to drop it. If these girls just don't have it.
Right.
You know, and more girls don't have it than do have it, you know. So she'd rather be alone than bored. What is going on in a girl's mind throughout her day?
Well, I just want to put a little caveat in there because no girls think they're bored. They think they're busy. It's not the same thing as not being boring. They're still boring as fuck. Make no mistake, because given their own devices, they're going to be sitting on a couch, scrolling their phone, in sweatpants, with their hair up and no makeup on. Because girls have nothing to do if somebody else doesn't suggest it. They may say, why don't we ever do this? As if they would have planned and come up with stuff and made it happen on their own. But they don't. Girls are boring. They're sometimes busy, but they're still boring. When they're busy, that's because there are other people looking for them to do stuff. It's not them left to their own devices. But we have had so many women relay stories to us about, what happened in your marriage? He was boring. I was just bored. I didn't want to be bored anymore. And they would rather be alone than be bored, because if they're bored with a man in their life, they could do that by themselves. They don't. So it's kind of like the saying about being alone in a crowd, feeling alone in a crowd. It's that kind of feeling when you're with someone who's boring to you.
And in a way, if their husband is boring, or they're bored with their husband, there's not a chance that they can get unbored.
No.
But if they're single, something exciting may come along.
That's true.
That's interesting.
It often doesn't, but
that's irrelevant. Yeah. That's interesting.
But there's always the possibility.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the reason that women start nagging once the guy kind of is like, okay, we're out of this dating phase. Pardon me. We're out of this dating phase. Now we're in a relationship, so now I can relax and I can come home and sit in my lazy boy recliner and drink beer all night and watch the games instead of going and doing anything with her. All of these things. This is why women then get a bad rep for nagging and complaining about stuff, because he wasn't boring to begin with. He is boring now. He chose to start being boring. But guys, like we've talked about before, it's like they get into a relationship and they're like, finally, I can relax.
The vast majority would say, and like I always say, most men are not that interested.
Yeah.
And as a matter of as I guess they feel compelled to get this thing checked off.
Yeah.
And then finally they're like, thank God I'm married. Now I can move on with my goddamn life.
Yeah.
You know, his parents want him to get married. He's 27. You know,
Right.
all these different things. And now he can like focus on his job or his hobbies.
Yeah.
But that's not always the case.
Right.
You know?
Right. Exactly. I think that's a huge factor, is that guys essentially believe that once they're married, they're in it, and this woman's never going to leave because she said she was never going to leave me. Well, that's because you were the person that you were and not the person that you have now become.
And usually this doesn't happen in the first 3 or 4 years because she gets busy with babies.
Right.
And kids keep girls busy up until probably like junior high. So that's
Yeah.
why you see at about 40, they start getting bored
Uh-huh.
and divorcing. And now, if they're very patient, they both wait till the kids get into college.
Right.
He doesn't have to pay child support, and she can move away to another state
Right.
with a new boyfriend. So there are kind of like in Rolo's, you know, he has his phases.
Phases,
You can
yeah.
kind of see the larger phases play themselves out
Right.
with this. You know, girls, you don't see a lot of girls mid-30s getting divorced because they're bored, because they're busy.
Right.
I mean, the kid's 4.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's true.
They don't even notice they're bored
No.
because they're busy. But once the kids are in school, now things slow down.
Well,
you
and
know?
this is why I say all the time, never stop dating. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of effort to just kind of keep that sexual spark alive. And if the sexual spark is alive, the boredom is at bay.
Yeah.
Period. Girls do not get bored by guys who they're sexually into. Ever. It doesn't happen. So these are the keys. This is why, this is why I am your resident sexpert, because if you keep your sex life strong, everything else just works better. And in this case, girls don't get bored when they're having hot sex. Period.
She's usually recovering.
Yeah, it's a win-win. So if you need more help with your sex life, if you need help spicing up your sex life, if your marriage is kind of going that kind of dull, if you're bored, she's fucking bored with a capital B. So check out Fuck Like a Porn Star. It will give you all the tools you need to spice up your sex life. If you need next level help, I've got a 30-day Ignite Your Wife course that is absolutely phenomenal. If your marriage feels like it is heading on the fast track to divorce, and I just want you to remember that the course is far less expensive than a divorce. It's far less expensive than blowing your family up. It's far less expensive than having to maintain 2 households now instead of just 1. Trying this course is the best course of action that you could possibly take to save your marriage and to create a marriage that you both like. It's not just about surviving it. It's about actually enjoying it. And that's what I want for you. So check all those things out in the links below. If you like this podcast, please like, subscribe, share with your friends. And we want you to win. Bye.